This episode is sponsored by Brooks Rehabilitation. For over 50 years, Brooks has led the way in advanced physical rehabilitation across Northeast Florida. From life-changing injuries to stroke, post-surgical recovery, neurological conditions, cancer rehab, and more, Brooks is where breakthroughs begin. Our expert physicians, specialized nurses, and top-tier clinicians deliver personalized, world-class care in rehabilitation hospitals, outpatient clinics, skilled nursing, assisted living and memory care, and home health and adaptive programs for all ages. Ranked number 1 in Florida by U.S. News and World Reports, at Brooks, innovation meets compassion because recovery is personal. With cutting-edge research, advanced technology, and a collaborative care team, Brooks empowers every patient to reclaim their strength, independence, and hope. Beyond remarkable, beyond expectations, Brooks is growing and hiring. Discover more at brooksrehab.org.
All right, welcome back. SpeakEasy Jax. Good to see you, bro.
It's good to see you as well.
Yep.
Some crazy stuff happened in this area last night, just right over across the street at the baseball.
I heard about it, man. I had some phone calls about it this morning.
What did you hear?
Just that it was an amazing game. You have Florida State.
Yeah.
Anytime you get the two teams together, it's obviously a big rivalry, and to have them in Jacksonville was super cool.
And it ended in dramatic fashion with a walk-off grand slam, unfortunately.
Yeah.
On the FSU side of things.
Well, you know I'm an FSU guy.
I know you are, but I'm a Gator fan.
Right.
And I just think about your household, too. It's funny because of how everything's distributed, mostly toward the FSU side with your kids.
Well, you think about when we were growing up, you had incredible FSU football. I mean, It was
Bobby
every
Bowden,
year. Every year they were playing Miami or Florida for the national championship, and it was just a great time to be a Florida State fan. Not so much recently, but once you're a fan, you got to stick with it.
You can't be a bandwagon.
So I have 3 FSU students, 1 graduate, but graduated from FSU. And then I have a senior at Florida. So we are a little bit of a house divided.
Right.
And I will wear my Florida shirt once a year.
And now you have a graduate student at LSU.
I know.
So jump from ACC, from FSU to LSU.
I'm never going to be an LSU fan.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not going to put that shirt on.
And then I have my youngest is getting ready to graduate from University of Georgia with her master's. So we've got an SEC rivalry in our household too.
And this is what I would tell you, and what we're so fortunate to have in this state is the number 1 university systems in the country. Yeah. And for students in the state of Florida to be able to go to one of the Florida schools, and even the SEC schools are incredible. And we're blessed. And I've been fortunate to be in a spot where my kids can all go in-state and have the in-state tuition and have a great education when they come out. But it's going to be a pretty good conversation today.
I know. Speaking of SEC, speaking of University of Florida,
I know.
We have a local legend.
Yep.
And one that is highly regarded in Gainesville as well.
Yeah.
You want to tell the audience who we're talking to today?
Yeah, I mean, I went to the University of Florida UF Health event about a month and a half ago. And honestly, I knew who Patric Young was, but I'd never heard him speak.
Right.
And I'm sitting there in the audience. The place is packed out, and you could hear a pin drop because the story that this gentleman has to tell is amazing.
Yeah.
And I really felt compelled to make sure that the city of Jacksonville gets to hear a story and understand what it's like to deal with adversity. Everybody does on certain levels. Not sure everybody deals with it on this level that we're going to talk about today, but it's the reaction to that I would really love to get that message.
Yeah, I was going to say, not only experiencing the tragedy, but also coming out the other side with the perspective that he has, which we're going to hear about, and leveraging his situation for good and just having a positive attitude. I was at that same event sitting at your table and thought that above anything else. Man, I don't know if I would have experienced what he's experienced, would I have that same approach toward life? So that's the thing I'm most impressed by, and I can't wait to hear him talk about that.
So, Patric Young grew up in Jacksonville, University of Florida, all-star, started every year while he was in Gainesville. He played NBA ball, played ball in Europe. And I know we're going to talk about basketball, but that's not the most important thing that we're going to talk about today. And I can't wait for you to hear the story and the citizens of Jacksonville to hear the story as well. So why don't we bring Patric Young? Come on up.
See if I can maneuver here. Just like that. What's going on, guys? Appreciate y'all having me. This is fantastic. Yo, yeah. So y'all got me right with the French 75.
Yeah. We were going to say big thanks to Manifest.
Yeah, we're
great. I mean,
really fortunate for this first season to do most of our podcast episodes here at Manifest Distilling. And a lot of people don't know, not only do they make amazing alcohol, but they also have a tasting room and a bar that people can come to. So oftentimes after the show, we'll hang out and talk a little bit.
Be cool to like have some friends. A little event or something, birthday party.
Yeah,
they do it all.
Like a guy's day.
And it's all local.
Something.
It's all local stuff.
Right?
And the owners are local.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's pretty cool for Jacksonville to have it. So what do you have today? What's your drink of choice?
This is a shout out to the Volstead spot downtown.
Yeah.
When I lived downtown back in 5-6 years ago, it was a walk away.
Right.
So when you get to know the bartenders, you have a great relationship with them. And one of the guys was like, all right, man, let me try, introduce you to some other drinks. And it's bitter. It's a Vieux Carré. It's a French drink. But I like it because it doesn't taste like a delicious, sweet drink. So that way you moderate and just sip it as we responsibly should.
And that's what this is meant to be. It's, in my career, I've always had to be on script. Mm-hmm. And this is meant to be for Jacksonville to hear the unscripted portion of it. And
Absolutely.
If we were sitting around in the afternoon, happy hour, and just having a conversation. You know?
For sure. So, and I just love like the approach of just being like so pro Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of awesome stories that, you guys already had. And I can't wait to
we'll tell you ours. We want to hear yours though.
Okay. All right. Yeah, let's go.
So as we start off, my favorite part of meeting somebody new and talking to somebody is asking, hey, tell me your story. I want to hear your story. What was it like for you when you were growing up?
Man, I have a stepdaughter, and I feel so bad for her and these upcoming generations because my childhood was full of being outside from sun up to sundown or, after school, whatever. And we didn't have cell phones. We had the landline. So, we'd rarely call, hello, Mrs. Morris, is Malik home? Or just walk outside and you see the guys. And we played every sport except we didn't play soccer. We did baseball, basketball, football, any types of games and things you could play. Just that period of life was so present.
Yeah.
That's what I appreciate so much about that time. And having it, kids typically don't know what they're missing because they don't know how big the world is. And still, let's not go to the airport, go to a busy airport, and you'll be like, dang, this is only one tiny blip of this entire world's population. But my childhood was awesome.
We used to play this game. We played wiffle ball. Every day.
Yeah.
And it was, if you could hit the ball across the street on the other side, it was home run derby. And hours we spent out in my driveway playing.
Never broke a window?
Well, it was. I can't say I never broke a window.
We broke about 3 or 4 at least.
All right. So maybe I did break a window or two.
So dumb. I remember the last time we broke a window, my buddy and I, my next door neighbor, we were just hitting rocks around. Like it was not one of the cheap yellow wiffle bats. It was like hard black plastic. So you contact whatever, it's gonna actually get it. As soon as I swung that bat and hit that rock, oh no.
You knew.
Broke the glass, ran in the house. And then we kind of forgot about it. Like it wasn't to hide, but we just forgot, both of us. And the neighbor, he ended up, asking around and figuring out.
It's funny.
It wasn't a good memory.
When you break the window, everybody stops and they kind of look at each other like, and then you run.
Then you just take off.
That's like the universal thing you do when you break a window.
Do you remember, did you have a certain time you had to be home? Was it just when it got dark, or did you have...
When those street lights came on?
Okay.
Yeah, street light. 7, 6. I mean, depending on the year, spring forward, fall back. Getting more. I like now we have more daytime, more daylight. So that pretty much is the rule.
So like you, I was running all over the neighborhood, blocks away, but my dad had the loudest whistle. And he didn't even have to, how some people have to put their pinky fingers in their mouth. He didn't
have to do that?
He just whistle, and it would be that's how I knew it's time to come home.
Coach Billy Donovan was the first person I knew that did that whistle. And oh my gosh, it
gets everybody's attention.
It's like when your parent calls your full name and you're in trouble, that's what you would think.
That's what that whistle was.
Yeah, that's what it felt like every time.
It's like, damn. That I'm in trouble.
In trouble, or I just it's trying to get our attention. But I mean,
right.
Great childhood, man.
I think you're right. The kids today, they just don't understand what it's like to just be out on the BMX bike, miles from your house, and your mom has no clue where you are.
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't think we don't live in a time where I think we can be as trusting to the rest of the world at times, because there's just a lot of crazy stuff that happens. But to the extent of if your kids have problems having fun outside, or just like maybe they're spending too much time inside and on the screen, oh my gosh, we would get a water bottle, you'd cut it like halfway, and then get a balloon, put it over the part that you drink, and you could drop like little rocks or beads or something, and you could just shoot them at each other. It was great. It hurt so much.
That's so good.
It hurt so bad.
That's so good.
We didn't care. And we would go around because, we got those banana spiders prevalent in Jacksonville. We would go spider hunting.
Well, I would tell you what we would do. When we found the banana spider web, we would find ants, and we would throw them in there. It was the best entertainment a kid could have.
We definitely threw a bug in there before, but then we're like, nah. And those things, I mean, they're harmless. We should have just left them alone. But boys will be boys, right?
Yeah. So, what part of town did you grow up in?
North side of Jacksonville, Gunn Avenue.
All right.
Parents are still there. So happy that they paid their house off a few years ago.
Wow.
Crazy, man. Times are so crazy. When they first bought their house, mom and dad were on teacher salaries, and people want to talk about the market back then. It was, she said it was 12%.
Yeah.
And they were, check by check for a point. As soon as I think Reagan got it down to 7, they refinanced and could finally breathe.
Right.
And, just really proud of my parents for how they've managed their money and got it. We're not wealthy, but they are secure.
Yeah.
And they've been very responsible and my mom has like a credit score of 873.
Right.
Okay.
I thought it only went to 850.
She's never missed it.
I thought it went to 850, and she's like, no, it's last time I checked, 873. I'm like, how do I get to that?
That's a pretty good bet right there.
She can get approved for any credit card, any loan, anywhere.
So you were, I was just going to say, you were elementary, middle school over on the north side? Or
no.
Did you?
And it's just so unfortunate. And I guess today things are a lot better that we have the Step Up Scholarship and we have school choice. But if my mom didn't know somebody at San Mateo Elementary, I wouldn't have gotten in. If my sister went there as well, I would have had to go to Highlands Elementary and Highlands Middle. San Mateo got me into James Weldon Johnson, which got me into Paxson.
Yeah.
You got to do well enough to get into those schools. And then I went to Providence my last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Paxson was tough. That's a tough school, man.
Tell us what the house was like. Like I can vividly remember my household. I had 3 older brothers and an older sister, and we probably like you, because my parents were educators as well. And you always had food on the table, but that was it. And
was when Dad had to work or had to do the meal, was it always something simple?
Oh yeah.
For us, cheese. It was double decker peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Or just spaghetti. All
right. You can't mess spaghetti up.
You can't mess it up.
Hey, that's underrated, though. That peanut butter jelly is underrated.
What?
Yeah.
To this day,
don't even know about it.
I'll crave it sometimes. I guess you can have some Crustables or whatnot,
Have you grilled it like a grilled cheese before?
No.
Try it.
What? You grilling an Uncrustable?
You're grilling a peanut butter and jelly like it's a grilled cheese.
With butter? What do you put in the pan?
You can put a little butter on it. It's not going to hurt it.
All right, we're going to have to try that.
Yeah.
A grilled peanut butter and jelly?
Somebody endorse that.
I don't know,
he's very confident.
I haven't touched a peanut butter and jelly in a long time.
Well, both of you guys got your Whoop bands on, so
you saw that, right?
We got a little group that every morning I wake up to see who slept the best.
Oh, really?
You can see how everybody's sleeping, and
I never
recovering.
When I had mine, I was competing with that. I just wanted to be. I wanted to try to be first place or like top 5 in the Jacksonville group,
right?
Or whatever the age groups that they had. But after a point, I was like, you know what? This is driving me crazy.
It is driving me crazy, but I'm obsessive, and I love something to obsess on.
The biggest benefit I love about it, and I'm sure you guys know this, obviously, the journal, where you can put specific things of that affected your day. Like, did you have a drink of alcohol? What was your last one? And then it gives you that weekly and monthly report. One thing for me, it said sleeping with a sleep mask, because I started doing that. 20% recovery.
Oh, yeah.
Higher. I was like, well, it's
can't,
obvious I need to do that.
I can't sleep without one.
Right.
Yeah, I have to have
really,
one.
Patrick, some days I don't want to fill out that journal. When I've made some poor decisions, I'm like,
well,
I don't know
alcohol always puts it at much lower recovery.
It definitely does.
But I don't know, if you drink early, having to drink early, it might be different. Yeah. I don't know. It's a late night drinking.
So back on what was your house like? Tell us a little bit about
household, man. Both my parents, they've been married now for, I think, 40 years. They're 67 and 66. And we had a good, peaceful household. I mean, I think you have to understand that when you having multiple kids, your parents are in different stages in their life of how they parent.
Yeah.
So I know my sister's experience is a lot different than mine. I think my parents protected me from a lot of things, and maybe to a fault, where like adversity and hardship, it discriminates against none. Anything can happen. You know, one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible is James 4:14. Do not boast about tomorrow, for you don't know what it holds. And at that time, I mean, obviously, I come to that acceptance and maturity now. But then, you know, have no idea what the future holds.
Yeah.
And you know, my parents just protected me and kept me away from a lot of things that I think it helped me in a lot of ways, but also hindered me, because when I got to college, I'm 18, I'm a man now, I can do whatever I want, I can stay up, I don't gotta clean my room, blah, all this other, and it's like, that's a detriment, you know, to have that mindset of, now that I'm free, I can break all these rules. But you know,
it's part of
it's part of it. It's part of the growth process.
We never went through that, Patrick. We were straight and narrow.
Straight and narrow.
Oh yeah, you know.
Well, it's good. I'm sure you guys have comparisons of people that were much worse. I had a teammate. He lived in Gainesville, so it was easy for him to stay there when we had like time off or summer off, and we all lived in a dorm. And I just knew, like, he stayed there by himself this summer. I just knew when I walked back into that dorm, it was going to be a pigsty. Was I ever right?
Yeah.
The sink, the number of flies around the sink.
Dudes are just gross. I mean, it really is.
I was going to clean it up right before you came. Bro, just do a little bit every day.
Yeah.
And you don't have to
clean a summer's worth up in one day.
We have, and we got to get back on, but we have hooks by the shower in our boys' rooms. And they have kind of like they have one bedroom and a Jack and Jill bathroom in between. And they literally cannot take the towel and just put it on the hook. And it's not that hard.
It's what I've come to just really notice, like, people, I don't say you have to force them to, but it's the level of detail and care for the small things and thinking they don't matter. They all do. I think, you know, like making your bed in the morning, it's your first win of the day. And just those, people say it all the time, you know, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I've come to a point where I shortcutted success, I don't think it lasts. I don't think it lasts.
I agree.
Catches up.
Always play the long game.
Yeah, always play the long game. That's why so many people that win the lottery, they go bankrupt. Don't know how to handle it.
So were you the youngest?
Youngest.
Okay.
My sister actually, she played golf. At Florida State.
Oh, wow.
That is crazy.
She wanted, my sister's a Gator. It was a better opportunity, I believe, for her to go there. And she enjoyed her time, of course, but you know, she wanted to be a Gator.
Does she still play?
She still can play. She's a physical therapist here at UF Health, actually. When she had more time, I mean, she could probably still go shoot like a 3 or 4 under. Right now.
That's crazy.
I know, right?
Like
you can tell when you watch a person that is a casual golfer versus someone that's like trained for it.
Oh, yeah.
Just how they approach their shot, how they like all that stuff is just so different. So she's still got all that.
Wow. So a bunch of athletes in your family.
No, not my mom.
Okay. She's going to hear this,
my mom
right?
is a math. Oh no, my mom is a mathlete, a mathlete. All right. She knows the words.
I've never heard that before, but I like it.
Really cool things about my mom here. When she was in elementary school, she was performing like, I don't know, my mom's IQ has to be very high up there. She was doing so well in school. The teachers came to my grandparents and said, we can't teach your daughter. She needs to go somewhere else. So went to St. John's Country Day, then went to Bowles, was the first Black woman to graduate from Bowles.
Wow.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Man.
Then she went on to Davidson and got a chemistry degree, major.
Davidson's no joke.
She was
either.
a chemist, then went to being a chemistry, I guess she hated being in the lab all day.
Right.
And then chemistry teacher, and then went back to school to get her nursing degree. And that was her longest career,
That's
nursing
genius.
for over 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
What am I doing with my life?
I feel very inadequate. Maybe we can't have her on the podcast.
She'd
Not
be
if
much
you want
more
to feel good
entertaining.
about
Yeah.
yourself.
Huh?
I said, not if we want to feel good about ourselves.
Yeah.
We maybe aspire to that, though.
So when
she wasn't a sports person. My dad, he played football at Bethune and was fortunate to play in the USFL for a little bit. So
what team did he play for?
He was with the Tampa Bay Bandits when Steve Spurrier coached there.
Okay,
People don't remember that. And Steve actually I told Steve, he actually cut my dad, and my dad came to play for the Jacksonville Bulls before he retired.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You got to be proud of that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's cool. I wish he would have. There was an opportunity he could have taken to go to a Packers camp and just never did.
Yeah.
Because I think you get to a certain point in your age where you're like, dang, do I want to? Am I Michael Jordan mindset where I'll push my kids over and mother over to go win and succeed at all costs, or do I feel like my family means more than me taking this pursuit? And that's what he felt. And plus, football. The number of injuries,
Yeah.
my dad, his hips aren't great, his shoulders aren't great, and let alone who knows how many times he got hit in the head.
Right.
Yeah, great man though.
So when you were playing growing up, and we talked to Mark Brunell about this a while back, but there's a point where you realize I am not a normal football player or a basketball player, and you start realizing there's something here. What was that for you? When did you start realizing that there was something special?
So baseball was my first sport. I started at 5 years old, and ironically, the name of my team was the Gators.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I was a two-sport athlete for a while. Baseball.
What position in baseball?
I pitched.
Okay.
And I regret to this day that I didn't at least finish
Right.
out my senior year. But I played, and baseball was primary, we thought that's the direction I was going to go to until ninth grade.
Okay.
When I was 6'8".
There you go.
And I was, still clumsy at that point. That following year, this is where my whole thing just went out of the water. From being unknown to being on the radar for a lot of colleges. There was this Reebok headliner tryout camp here in Jax. And if you were selected, you would go to Philadelphia for the big camp. And I dominated the camp here in Jacksonville. Again, I was 15, 16 years old at that time. And then went up to Philadelphia for the camp. Wasn't known, but it's crazy. There's two main courts, maybe three, and there's bleachers with every college coach across the country. And I just said, you know what? This is the situation at this camp where I don't know any of these guys here. Everyone's trying to get a spot. What can I do without the basketball to show out? So I just try to grab every rebound, dunk the ball as hard as I could, just do all these things consistently. Yeah. When I got home after the trip, man, the number, because recruiting was different back then, I had about 60 letters in my mailbox that I just laid over the bed, and I'm just like, what?
What types of schools were these? Are these D1 or?
All D1.
All D1.
Miami, Clemson, South Carolina, Georgia Tech, Georgia, UNF. Got shout out UNF and JU.
All right.
Because that was Cliff Warren and Mark Driscoll had just started at UNF at that time, which is pretty crazy. And there were more schools. I took a visit up to UConn. It just was too far away, and it was an easy decision for me to make the choice to go to the Gators because, one, I was kind of born into being a Gator. Billy Donovan had won 2 national championships, sent guys to the NBA. My family could take that hour and some change. It was far enough away from home,
right,
where it wasn't super convenient to do a last minute thing. But like if I needed to get away, I could. Jacksonville was an hour and a half away, so it worked out beautifully. And I don't regret any of my time in Gainesville.
Yeah, UF is just far enough away. And
yeah.
FSU, that's a little bit longer.
Is it 2 hours?
It's about 2 hours and 20 minutes from the west side.
Boring drive.
Boring drive.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard.
it's pretty
straight.
rough.
And then when
It's
you
straight.
get there, it's still boring.
It's a super hilly city. You know, Tallahassee, Florida State's got to invest into, like they invested in the stadium, the football arena to renovate that, make it a little bit better. They got to get a new basketball arena.
Really? Yeah.
And move the location to a better spot.
Yeah.
Are they still
Leon
County Civic Center?
Yeah,
is that where they still play?
Still play there.
Yeah.
When I was a senior in high school, we played a state championship game at Leon County Civic Center. So
you would think, when your rivals, the Gators down the road, are renovating, updating their building, it was just the O-Dome, and now it's the O-Dome, but it's Exact Tech Arena, and it's really nice for
it is
for
really
a college
nice.
basketball gym now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you went.
And I need to let you know, my 4 years at Florida, we beat Florida State not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. Sweep.
Well,
during my tenure.
This is what you have to be a faithful fan, even in the rough times.
Yeah.
It's been a drought, and
I'm glad you say that. My mom and I have been like on the market for NFL teams.
No, you can't give up on the Jags.
I know, man.
Cannot do it.
There's so many other really good organizations. Like we like the Ravens. We want Lamar Jackson to get a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts is obviously I'm not going to cheer for them when they play the Jaguars, but
I'm finding myself pulling for them. Yeah,
for teams that are going to make the playoffs consistently, you got to have a little bit of allegiance somewhere.
Yeah.
So you went from Paxson, where you were playing ball, to Providence.
How did you do that?
So my best friend, and we played AAU basketball together. And he went to Providence, and I think I was sophomore at that time, and he had seen a bunch of our games over at Paxson and saw like it was a one-man show for the most part, that I wasn't being utilized to help our team win the most games. And he was like, dude, what are you doing? You need to come to Providence. We'll win a state championship. And he put that bug in my head, because people, let's say like they recruited me. No, Coach Martin, I didn't really know him that well.
Right.
We paid tuition. I think it was $8,000 or $9,000 to go there. I didn't get a scholarship, and it was tough. It was tough to leave all these friends and people I've had in my life for the past 3 years, and to go on to Providence. But I'm grateful. And I know you guys have Mark Brunello on. Like, one of my stories I love to tell is when he came to share a story at Chapel about, because we were, as a senior, you're going into college, and he talked about being anchored and having your identity and who you are, because there's so many temptations and just craziness that can be around. It's talking about the drift pretty much. If you go to the beach, you can settle down in one area. Your kids go out in the water, they just love getting beat up by the waves. You look at your phone, and all of a sudden they're like down there. And how does that happen? It's because there's a steady current in this world trying to pull us in all types of directions. So it's not only do you have to first recognize that, you got to swim against it. That's the way, not just because even if you just anchor in one spot, you're not moving towards something in order to be yourself, to be who you feel like, you're not being molded by people around you. Because as a people pleaser and someone that wanted to be liked, I was not firm in saying no and having the reputation in terms of I would say I was living a double life at a point. In some instances, I'd be this guy, and some I'd be someone else. And it's just a matter of time till that catches up with you, and you got to look yourself in the mirror.
It's exhausting, isn't it?
Who do I really? Yeah, you got to keep up with 2 storylines and always try to adapt and change to what they say is cool. So now you got to think it's cool, and you got to do what everyone else is doing. And people might criticize and say, "Oh, yeah, we all at some point, especially as kids." have fallen into that category. It's very rare to meet somebody 18, 19, 20 years old that is so firm in who they are. Because like part of college is figuring that out too.
Yeah.
So you're at Providence, you're a senior, and everybody's recruiting you. But it was always Florida? You had in your mind, I'm going to Florida?
So. I think it was always Florida. Coach Donovan once, and Shaka Smart, who's now the head coach at Marquette, he was the one that was leading my recruiting. But it was pretty obvious and apparent. I hated the recruiting process. These coaches, you can think of, they're only trying to build this relationship with you because they want you to come play at their school, and think that it's not. It's sales, but it's also authentic, and you just hope that these coaches can be transparent and truthful about what you just expect coming into the programs, and that's not always the case. But from day one, Coach Donovan told me exactly what to expect, that I needed to work, that there was a lot I didn't know. And it took me a minute to realize that, because when you're so talented at a point, maybe you start thinking, all right, I don't need to work as hard. I don't need this extra stuff. But that's so far from the truth. Inky Johnson says this all the time, one of my favorite motivational speakers. Talent will get you in the room. Character is what keeps you there. Yeah. And at first, I did not have the character to keep me there. And Coach Donovan had to confront me my freshman year for me to wake up.
What happened?
Attitude, man, just wasn't being coachable, frustrated, just how difficult, just the transition into being a freshman, not only as an athlete, as a student, trying to figure out social life, just trying to fit in. And the fact that the one thing that I was really good at is not being as easy, as the rest of this stuff. It was so frustrating where you get 500 hours tops to practice and per year. And you don't want to waste that time. You can't get it back. And I look back, how many hours did I waste not being, I could have been so much better. And I still was able to achieve a lot of great things in Florida. But, I'm like, dang, how much more could I have known and done if I would have humbled myself and said, Coach, I'm a sponge. Give me all you got. I don't regret it. I just use it as a path forward to stay humble.
When you think about the companies that truly shape a city, not just with buildings and infrastructure, but with values, you have to talk about Miller Electric. They've been a part of Jacksonville for almost 100 years. And in that time, they've become more than just one of the country's leading electrical and technology contractors. They've become a force for prosperity and progress in our community. At Miller, it's not just about the work, it's about the people. They invest deeply in their team and in Jacksonville itself, because building a stronger company only matters if you're also building a stronger city. With a culture rooted in integrity, service, and innovation, Miller Electric isn't just surviving the test of time, they're setting the standard for what a modern, community-minded business should be. To learn more about how Miller is powering the future of Jacksonville, visit www.mecojax.com. So now what you're doing is you're, college basketball analyst doing shows and watching these kids coming up like you were. Yeah. There's one huge difference though, and I want to know your thoughts on this.
Are you about to say NIL?
I'm about to ask, are you bitter about NIL or what? Because you probably could have been banking.
I'll say this. I'm bitter that I had guys on my team that had no money, zero.
Yeah.
And I had a teammate, he couldn't afford to fly back home for Christmas. Or my other teammate, because he was foreign, and that's even now with NIL, if you're a foreign player on a student visa, you technically can't work because you're supposed to be focused on school.
Right.
So am I bitter about it? I think it would have been cool to have used that time frame that we had, because we had some really good teams. We had great teams. We had so many awesome storylines, or at least being able to do stuff in Gainesville. There was a girl that she got reported by the school because she used school water to wash her car. And look, probably not supposed to, but they literally, she got in trouble and she had to pay back $15 in water or whatever. And it's just we're such an extremist culture. Absolutely. And no, don't even talk about paying an athlete. That's improper benefits. To now it's like, all right, I mean, shoot, we're not supposed to do pay for play, but you can't tell me that's not what's happening.
Right. Exactly.
It's pay for play.
Yeah.
I am paying you to come play at this university. And I don't know what the answer is to fix that and get more transparency, but at least it's to a state where I guess these athletes that may not have a career past college can at least have a great starting, no debt, and can have a great starting place to build the rest of their life.
I really don't have a problem with NIL. I think it probably should be regulated a little bit more, almost like a salary cap type situation with the NFL.
July 1st.
Yeah, but the problem that I have is the portal, because I feel like we've lost the loyalty to your school and to your team. And your coach can yell at you one day and you just go, okay, I'm going to transfer somewhere else.
You can transfer and say, coach just yelled at me too much today, or his breath stank, or I didn't like the colors, or you can, whatever. You don't need a reason. You just transfer. And I mean, I was fortunate. I had 4 guys, including myself, that stayed all 4 years together through college. You're not going to get that.
Yeah.
I don't want to say anymore, but it's going to be so rare to get guys that stay all 4 years. Like, really cool thing, saw yesterday. It showed all the teams currently in the Sweet 16, and it showed where their starting 5 players started from. The only team of the current Sweet 16 that had all 5 guys start at one school was Purdue.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Purdue.
what's created so much parity and leveled the playing field.
It has.
Or the court.
Yeah.
Or, you've got people that are not waiting anymore.
Yeah.
They're going where they can play right away. And sometimes it's a lesser known school that's getting more talent, and it kind of brings everybody up.
Well, I'm very curious about this as we go forward. This is the first year. Like, are we going to have Cinderella stories anymore? Because these smaller schools, as soon as a guy is playing well, they're poaching him to come to a bigger school. Yeah. So, like, right now, in the tournament, don't want to spoil or whatever, but Arkansas is in. They're a 10, and as is there's another team that's a 10 seed as well, who I can't remember top of my head. Like, and they're not schools that we're thinking, Arkansas, Cinderella story. Yeah. You're not thinking that.
No.
Tell you what, though, McNeese State broke all our brackets.
They would have been McNeese State if they were still in it. They would be, absolutely. Yeah, they sure
destroyed everybody's
brackets. Clemson. They didn't beat Clemson. They destroyed them.
It wrecked my bracket, that's for sure. But University of Florida, stellar career, won every award you possibly could have. And then you get a championship. You get to move into the professional side of it. Tell us a little bit about that. What was that like?
So first, I went undrafted, and part of it, my stats didn't increase that much from junior year to senior year, even though, we were 31-3 that year.
Right.
Like, I was part of winning. I was pissed off. I was hurt that I went undrafted. I knew I just needed a chance. So I fortunately got a undrafted free agent or rookie contract with New Orleans, I didn't get a contract yet. Opportunity to do summer league with them. And just like that chip on my shoulder, I was like, I'm about to prove everybody wrong. I came off the bench. Our first game, played 18 minutes, I think, 11 points, 13 rebounds. They signed me the next day. I wish I had got an opportunity with a team that wasn't so bad. Because I would have potentially gotten a chance to stay longer, and then also maybe to play, I was getting so much better, and that you get such great training in the NBA, because as a rookie, like, they always say that you stay ready. You got to stay. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. But it was in December. We came off back-to-backs with Atlanta and Washington. On the way back, I got cut by Monty Williams, and I'm just like, all right, what do we do now? Do I go to the G League or do I go overseas? And after packing up everything at the time in my Honda Accord, 7-hour drive from Louisiana, from New Orleans to Jacksonville, figured out that I was going to go overseas, go to Turkey, and that was like 2 days after getting cut. Then I'm getting on a plane, going to a country I've never been. And to say culture shock.
I was gonna say, what in the world?
Yeah, it was crazy. Because the first day I got there, and I didn't know the traffic in Istanbul was so bad. It took forever to get to the hospital, because you have to go through your evaluations and all that stuff. And then got to the hotel, and I was aware of the Islam religion, but I just didn't know what that looked like on a practical standpoint of like how it affects the day to day. And like there's mosque everywhere. So my first night sleeping, and I knew you pray 5 times a day. I'm sleeping in the hotel, and then one of their prayers starts at, I don't know, 6 a.m. I have no idea what's going on. I thought somebody broke in my room, was trying to kill me. I did, like with all seriousness. And then my coach, he made me play the next day. Like less than 24 hours of taking a flight across the country, doing all this testing. I did terrible. I had 0 points and 1 rebound. Finally got some rest, and after that, the rest was history. I got back to myself and dominated after that, and ended up having a fantastic career overseas. Turkey, Greece, Italy, Israel. Wish I would have been playing longer. Right. Like, I think everybody's dream is to have a Tom Brady ending to their career, but when you play, it's funny. Somebody today was like, yeah, my son plays sports. I just hope he doesn't get hurt. And I was like, then tell him not to play sports. Right.
It's inevitable, right?
It's inevitable. Yeah. We're meant to move as human beings, but the repetition, the velocity, the speed, like you set yourself up that something's going to break down at some point, you know?
So what was your favorite experience overseas? Like,
I was going to say, tell us what the food, everything, what was it like?
So in Istanbul, there's so much traffic. It's really hard to maneuver anywhere. Like even going, I remember it was my birthday, and my parents were up there with me. We were going to Nusret. It's the Salt Bay, that guy. Yeah. His restaurant before it like blew up. Man, it took us like 45 minutes to go 3 miles up the road. Wow. But the food there was great. In Greece was number one food, community, weather, fan base. Sport is religion over there. I played for a team, Olympiacos, and like how we can just joke about having a Florida State rivalry, like can't do that. Can't do that. Like they're serious. It's like fighting words. Like I'm ready to fight you as soon as you say something bad about my team.
I heard that about basketball in Albania.
They have to, like when we would go play against the opposing, our rival, they had a net up to protect us from the rowdy fans because they'll throw stuff, they'll spit.
Behind the bench?
Behind the whole bench, both sides. Like a huge net to protect. I think they call them like Gate 7 or Gate 11 or something, hooligans. I mean, they're nuts.
Wow. What an experience.
Yeah.
From Jacksonville.
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah. It exposed me to so many great things. And my career definitely prepared me with the life that I'm living now. Yeah.
So as you think about the career and your pivotal moments in life, I mean, clearly you had a tragic moment that has defined where you are today. Yeah. Can you tell the citizens of Jacksonville what happened and what it's been like?
So with my ex-wife, we were up in Nebraska before we were preparing for marriage. Like she had a daughter, and it kind of just like basketball season ended. So this was my first year after working with the network. My lease ended pretty much at the place I was renting, and I was like, you know what? I feel bad every time she would come down from Nebraska to visit me in Jacksonville because, she'd be away from her daughter. So I said, you know what, is it okay if I come up and stay with you and your family to like really get to know everybody, make sure that they give me the stamp of approval and all that. And I don't know if you guys have been to O'Neill, Nebraska. Good town.
I've been through Nebraska before.
3,000 people in that town. How
did you meet her?
We met in college. Okay. She was a bartender at Cantina. All right. Cantina by chance, that spot. And it's very boring in Nebraska. To say
it's one road through the entire state with corn on both sides.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's 3 hours from Omaha. Like I would have considered living up there if it was in 1 hour from Omaha, but a 3 hour drive in traveling with work. But I picked up a side gig while I was up there because I had the time and I needed to, I feel like as men, if you can, like we're called to work, we're called to provide, to conquer. And I love the job. I was doing some irrigation work with a company out there. So those huge pivots that water farmers' fields for their crops. I mean, they're thousands of gallons of water per minute. And just one day, man, I mean, life is so fickle. I was driving back to one of our sites on June 29th. And, we all drive. Sometimes we're not 1,000% locked in. And just that one moment is all it takes. losing that focus on a place that you're unfamiliar with. I end up running through a stop sign on accident, obviously, because I was going too fast, too fast on a dirt road with not enough time to stop.
Right.
And my car ends up going completely parallel to this 2-lane road. There's no guardrail, and it flips over. It wasn't going fast, but the fact I didn't have my seatbelt on, because casual. I'm just going up the road.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just going to grandma's house,
Yeah.
or, right down the street. I don't, whatever. I don't need to put my seatbelt on. I am an advocate of telling people that is a lie from the devil. Every time you get in that vehicle, because it's not just about what you can control. You have no control over what anybody else is doing on the road. Anything can happen. You don't want to live like a negative, pessimistic type mindset, but like if it's something you can control and possibly prevent, it's there for a reason.
Right.
It's a law for a reason.
Yeah.
The truck flips over and I'm like bracing myself. Worst thing you could do. As soon as it landed back on all fours, all that force and compression, as it was taking me to my right, I tried to brace myself and put my elbow down. I felt my ribs pop. I felt my shoulder, my scapula, and I felt a huge pop in my back. I immediately knew something was wrong. And by the grace of God, I could grab my phone and call everyone that needed to be called. And just like that, I was on a flight to South Dakota and going into an 8-hour emergency surgery that gave me 2 rods and 12 screws in my back.
Man.
So at that point, you felt nothing in your lower extremity?
Yeah, waist down. And it's crazy, man. The spinal cord is so fickle. Like, just a bruise to your spinal cord can mean paralysis. Like, we're such fragile human beings. And my I can't remember which vertebrae it was. I know it's T7 or T8. One of them was dislocated and hit my spinal cord. And that was it. And just the journey to rebuild myself after that was a heck of a one.
And when did that take place? How long ago?
That was June 29th of 2022 when I had the accident.
It's not too long.
We're coming up on 3 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so you wake up. This is really good for me to hear. All right. And I appreciate you sharing with everybody. But I mean, there's a moment where you wake up and you go, was that a dream?
That's what I felt as the car accident was happening.
Yeah. Like is this real?
Not real?
And then you come to reality. And then there's a whole set of dealing with, there's a grief that you deal with because you were the image of what most men would want to be. And now you have to face a whole new reality. Tell us about that.
That's why it's so important as men and fathers to make sure you can establish to them what healthy manhood looks like. Like, I know toxic masculinity is something that's thrown around a lot, and I do believe that there is a case for that when it's all about me.
Yeah.
When it's all about look at what I can do, look, this is all, just that kind of selfish mindset. I mean, that's toxic for anybody. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I did. I'm like, this can't be real.
Yeah.
Like what helped me so much is that I have such a great support system around me. I remember when I was in South Dakota, it was 4th of July. Some of my best friends dropped everything, came up there to see and support. And I had a big room, something similar to this, where I could like see, but it was up higher. It was 4th of July. I wanted to see fireworks. We were too far away. So my friends, they're like, all right, we're going to do something crazy. They go to a fireworks store, get on the corner, where I could see them, because you're not supposed to light fireworks within like a certain distance of the hospital, light them and they run. And it was the best thing ever, the fact that they'd be willing to do something like that for me and brighten my day. Like every 4th of July, I text them and say, this 4th of July is great, but nothing will ever compare to what you guys did for me that day.
Man, that is so good. And I think we are very blessed. Not everybody has a support system like the three of us do. And
I'm literally, these last few weeks, I've been visiting this boy in the hospital that he has no one in his corner. No mom, no dad, no caretaker, 19 years old. And I'm like, if I don't step in, I don't know who will. He's got a long journey ahead of him, but at minimum, he needs to know that there's people that love him. And because I I would be in the same situation, same boat as him if I didn't have the support system that I have now. I like without my mom, my dad, my sister, my best friends, just giving me reasons to fight, reasons to step up and push through the discomfort. And look, there's no such thing as comfortable growth. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And I had to get uncomfortable in order to be where I am now. And there's still plenty of, we're all work in progress, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
So there are people that have been in similar situations to you that have chosen to look at it differently, maybe have a negative perspective and, why did this happen to me? And those types of thoughts. Obviously, I'm sure they've crossed your mind, but you are such a positive person. Is it because of the support system? What is it that, you talked about the anchor. What is it that anchors you in your identity and your positive attitude and outlook, even in spite of what you've been through?
Well, there's a few different things into that. Ed Milet, he's one of the guys I really like listening to on this podcast, and he said one of the most egregious things we can do is let somebody else tell us what our story is. I want to look back in my life and say, like, yeah, that thing happened, but this is what came from it. This beautiful life, this beautiful, what I'm striving to do as a man was like, and my mom said this, like, everything that makes me is still here. Everything that's Patric Young said, so what, I can't dunk a basketball or run or like, of course I would love this, but does it take away from me having a full, great life with all this? I feel like it's my responsibility to step in and be an advocate and an example for others. Like the number of people I've been able to help, just in terms of just showing up, not necessarily anything I say, put the smile on my face, has been so impactful. Like we oftentimes miss opportunity because we want it to look a certain way. And it's like, I have an opportunity just by showing up, not quitting, pushing through. Like I still have bad days, but like the fact that I don't let one turn into two, turn into three, turn into a month and depressed in bed. I feel like it would just be so detrimental to my mom and my dad. And it's just the people that love me so much, gave me so much inspiration. I just, I have a great support system, and I just pray that more people can have that, especially like as men, adult men. Many guys don't have like best friends or even a group of friends that like you can be real with. I have all of my best friends. We can talk about whatever. And like, we will all show up for each other when anything happens. And I'm so grateful for that.
Patric,
so grateful.
This guy is that for me. We've known each other since 13 years of age, middle school, best friends all along. And, you're right. When you're going through stuff in life, and I haven't faced anything close to what you've been through, but it's good to have people that you can lean on, and they're going to be there no matter what.
Because sometimes you might need, I'm sure he's had to tell you, hey man, suck it up. Like
I was going to say,
right?
Sometimes it's the hard things that you need to hear that come from those people. And, to have somebody that you can do that for and somebody that can do that for you is truly a game changer.
Absolutely.
And to your point with the young man that you're mentoring, that's what he needs. And you're providing that. So you're leveraging this, what was a tragedy in most people's eyes, and using it for good.
I mean, it gives me so much purpose and meaning and fulfillment to be useful in a way that is like truly impacting somebody's situation. Like,
I got to tell you, and we're all human. That's the thing. Like you said, there's good days and then there's bad days. And about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I went through a pretty epic public failure in my career. And I honestly, Patric, I could not answer the phone. And I was in that spot. And it clearly was, first of all, I wanted to set the right example for my kids, because I know everybody goes through adversity at some point in their life. It may not be what you're dealing with, that's going to be with you the rest of your life, but everybody's going to go through adversity. And it's like, I want to be the right example, because my kids are going to go through it, to say, okay, what you do is you get up and you plow forward every day, even when you don't feel like it. And I got to tell you, it really was the people that were around me that were checking on me to make sure that I was okay, that helped me get through that. And knowing the responsibility I had to show my kids that this is how you respond. And but we're all humans, man.
That's what I think of with my stepdaughter. I'm like, she might not fully understand but I want her to like, if I'm down, I do want to communicate with her why I'm down or something. But other than that, like, I can prove to her through example of like, if dad is going through all this and he's got a smile on his face and he's still showing up for me, like, how much more can I face whatever comes my way? And she's volleyball, softball now, so she's all into that stuff. And it's so hard as an athlete to get her to get the mindset and the things. So many things I want to tell her, so she can. She wants to play at Nebraska one day volleyball, and I'm like, Kyla, Nebraska is always number one.
Right.
Like, if you want to get there, like, you have to live, drink, eat, breathe, think about volleyball all the time.
Right. Well, my job at the chamber is to bring more jobs to Jacksonville and to help the economy continue to just grow here in this community. We're doing great. Like, Jacksonville is hot right now. And got a really bright future. And, we always talk about when we have guests on, we've got great jobs now. I mean, we all have great jobs, and it's pretty fun to do what we do.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, everybody has that job that they remember that was the worst job you've ever had or the hardest job you've ever had. Do you have one that pops out to you whenever you think about it?
When I was in my parents' house, taking out the trash and cleaning the bathroom, those were the hardest jobs for me. Trying to think, maybe basketball career wise, I can say that I've had some coaches that really turned me off from the game. And I had a coach in Greece. Like, I had an issue with my knee, tore my ACL and meniscus that my first year. And like, my meniscus didn't heal right the second year. And I'm like, I'm trying, like, my mind, I want to play. I want to do everything that's being asked of me. And I'm like, Coach, I there's something wrong. I can't. And he's like, you're just being soft. It's all in your head. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. Like, I tried to show up as a man and be responsible and tell him, like, what's wrong. And fortunately, I was able to get an MRI, and it showed that I had a bone bruise in my knee.
Right.
Did I get an apology?
No.
No, absolutely not. But that, by far, just taught me so much on a professional level. It's a business. Yeah. Like, coaches are looking out for themselves. The players got to look out for themselves. And, like, it's tough because, your salary is attached to, I guess, how you fit in with the team, playing, practicing, et cetera. But that should not trump your mental health. Yeah. If it's like, if I could do it again, I wouldn't have left Turkey and stayed and not going to play with that coach at all. Well,
I think we can all agree that nothing about you is soft. No. We all know you're not a soft dude. Yeah. Come on.
That's why I'm like, dude, like, I'm giving you guys everything. I'm actually out here and I shouldn't be playing. Right. But it's in the past, and injuries were a big reason as to why I stopped playing so much in my career later on as well.
Yeah. So Patric, I was going to say, we're nearing the end of our conversation, and want to make sure that we fit in the foundation, because it's huge what you're doing through that, and then also talk about your book. I know you brought a couple copies of that. And yeah. Can you tell the viewers, the listeners, about your foundation and about this book, why you decided to write it, and where they can get it?
So the slogan here for the foundation: we show up for those who are lost in the darkness of their circumstance, illuminating the path to overcome their unique challenges, providing funding and resources that lead to living life without limitation. And I say the chair is not the solution. And I like saying that because I had a really cool, a very interesting physical therapist in my life that he told me that the thing that's giving me comfort is actually hindering me from where I want to go. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. He's like, when you're in that chair, just like, sitting is the new smoking, yeah. Right? We've all heard that. It's like he wants me to be out of my chair as much as possible, on the ground, keeping my hip flexors loose, right. Not getting so tight. Because one day, as your nerves are regenerating, you might get a little toe wiggle or something like that and start gaining some ability right. back. But if you have tone and you're locked up, yeah. If I can't straighten my legs, how are you going to walk like right. that? Yeah. So there's a discipline in being a paraplegic that you have to abide by. I mean, if you want your life to be limitless, as I said. But the foundation, like it was birthed through crisis. Most things, I think a lot of people, when they come to starting a foundation, something has happened to them or someone that they know very well. And my just experience through the healthcare system, how expensive everything was, I just saw that, there's a huge gap. And what insurance says is back to having a full life, freedom, independence, and what like a person would define that as. And we want to help make that reality what people have. So whether that's getting some monies to pay bills, getting a ramp built, any home renovations, widening doors, medical equipment. What else have we done? Like with this boy I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help him get to Brooks Hospital so he can get better. Like stories like that. Everything I can do to be an advocate for people that don't have one. And filling those gaps at minimum, providing a light and lifting a burden so people can see like, okay, there is a path forward to me getting back to having life.
Well, you're certainly setting the example for, people who are going through difficult things. And the fact that you're willing to give back through creating a foundation also speaks to, how serious you are about helping other people through this tragedy. So
it's
you're
fun,
an inspiration, man.
It's
you're
fun.
An inspiration.
I would say this, it's these last 2.5 years have been the most trying, but the most like fruit-filled because the impact that I've been fortunate to make for people by just like when I started public speaking, motivational speaking, I wasn't ready. I wasn't polished. I didn't know like the ebbs and flows and the rhythm and telling a joke here and how you open up, but I just stepped into it anyway. And I remember it was a talk I had here in Jacksonville at a company here. First time I talk, I'm like, I was okay. I could do better. Everyone's gonna give you good feedback. Yeah. And I got a bunch of reps. Following that, 30 more engagements at least, and then spoke at that company again the next year. More polished, book was written at that point. And there was a guy waiting to talk to me after I spoke at this company. And it was weird. Like I came to speak and meet everybody. And he's like, when he finally gets a chance to speak to me, he said, Patrick, I want you to know that you saved my life. I'm like, that's a bold statement. He said, last year when you came to speak, I wasn't in the room, but I was watching via Zoom. And I had been contemplating taking my life. I had a note, I had a plan, I had all the things of like doing that. And he said, when I saw you step up here, tell your story, have that smile on your face, it changed my whole mentality about my life. And I was like, if that guy can go through what he's going through and be so positive and uplifting, then why can't I? And like, if that is my one more, I'm content. And I hope there's gonna be many more one mores, but that one more was enough for me to say, Pat, keep helping, keep serving, keep showing up.
I gotta tell you, man, you're a gem, and Jacksonville's proud to have you. And I hope that somebody that's watching today may have a similar story because of your story.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why, what you guys are doing here is so important.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know who it's all going to touch, but you keep doing it.
Yeah.
I hope this is fulfilling for you guys.
No, it is. That's a blast. And it's the fastest hour of my life.
Yeah,
I can't believe we flew through it so fast.
Before we say goodbye, can you hold your book up and tell people where they can get it? I want to make sure that people have access to it.
It's called Sit to Rise, Turning Your Darkest Pain into Your Brightest Strategy. I want to try to mess that up. On Amazon, my social, I'll sign a copy and mail it to you if need be. And book number 2 is in the works.
And your website for the people that are listening.
Patric, and you can see Patric with no K, Patric. So patricyoung.com. That's it. Right. That's it.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we can't wait to get this out to the viewers.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for spending an hour with us. It made me a better person, I can tell you that.
You guys made me a better person too. Yeah.
Thanks, Patrick.
Awesome. Thank you.
Change doesn't just happen. It's built one conversation, one connection, one decision at a time. At the Southern Group, we don't just navigate the system, we help shape it. I'm Rachel Cohn. I'm the Senior Managing Partner for the Southern Group. We are the state's largest lobbying firm and then recently opened an office in Washington, D.C.
The Southern Group is involved with every facet of government. There's not an issue that you would come across that we can't help affect change with.
From Jacksonville to Tallahassee to DC, we work at every level of government to turn your vision into action.
From independent authorities and land developers to nonprofits and major corporations, nothing is too big or too small. Our clients trust us to clear the path, cut through the red tape, and get things done.
Because influence creates opportunity. Let us show you how.
Thanks for tuning in to SpeakEasy Jax. If you enjoyed the conversation, follow us on our social media platforms, share it with a friend, and make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss an episode.